throughout the morning, and that's fine. I know it probably confused some people having book club on Thursday, but we covered a lot of extra math last Thursday, and I did that on purpose so that we would um, kind of make up for all of those Monday holidays. Okay, here we go. So, just to kind of remind you, a lot of these strategies that you do during book club are actually reading strategies. So, the jobs that I give you, I'm not having you do jobs just because I feel like it. These are actually proven reading strategies that help you understand the book better. So, just a little side note there that you are doing those for a purpose. Okay, and that our goals, and your group is actually really good about this, um, communicating with each other and collaborating together, and then we always think critically through the questions that we answer
Christine.
together, and then of
Christine.
course there's a lot of creativity that goes into your work. All right, so here we go. I'm going to go ahead and take us to our book club site so that we can start looking at what everybody was responsible for this week. All right, so here we go. We'll go down to our schedule. And I actually have really good news for you, too. This is kind of cool. Um, Before I go too much farther into letting you guys start getting presenting, on February, so you could see the schedule here in front of you. Today is the 7th, by the way. Monday is the 11th. And then you notice we have to skip a week again because of another Monday holiday. So that's why I'm having the book club today so that we didn't miss book club all the time. Anyway, on the 25th, so you can see I'm kind of highlighting the 25th right now. Um, I've invited some like really important people from the district to come and watch you guys because you're my favorite book club. Let's just put it that way. I guess there's no other way to put it. Um, and so they're going to come into the virtual classroom on the 25th. And who knows, they might even ask you a couple questions. They just want to see how awesome you guys really are. I'm excited about it. You guys are going to have like a really cool project. And if you notice the dates here, the 11th through the 25th, that's 2 weeks. You're going to have 2 weeks to do this really cool project that I'm going to show you on Monday. Okay, so that's it for now. Just a little side note for our schedule. All right, today, no, the 25th you don't have off. You have the 18th off. The 18th is President's Day. That's 2 Mondays from now, Christian. Okay. All right. Sorry, he just asked a question about when President's Day actually was. All right, so today we're going to start with Ashley as our summarizer. And then we also had Kaylee S as our summarizer. So I'm going to go ahead, get back to our agenda, and scroll down to your book. Sorry, there we go. You're clear at the bottom. All right, so between Kaylee S and Ashley, do I have a volunteer to start on the summary? Oh, she has hers on a Word document. Ashley, how about I do this? I make you the presenter and we could just look at your screen. How does that sound?
Okay.
Cool. All right, so we're going to see your screen in just a second. All right, perfect. We can see your screen, so go ahead and start reading your summary for us when you're ready.
Okay. But will my screen like stay on mine so I can't give it back to you? Like how it
Oh no,
is.
I'll change it back to me when you're done.
Okay. Um so this is I summarized chapters 9 through 11.
Yep.
And Dad and Kenny were talking in the car about not wanting to get hooked on hillbilly music. They also talked about Byron going to Alabama to keep him away from the bad temptations. They are concerned about blacks getting mistreated in the South. Byron and Kenny have to sleep in their parents' room because they knew Byron was going to try to leave. The trip through Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee took one day instead of Mama's plan of 3 days. By the time they arrive in Alabama, Dad has a beard of his own. In 18 long hours, the Watsons finally made it to Birmingham. Kenny and Joetta have never met Grandma Sands. Every time they look at each other, they all get they all three get teary eyes. Alabama has already broken Byron as he is yes mamming and no mamming before he has even moved into the house.
That was a beautiful summary, Ashley. Anybody have anything to add to that summary? And remember, I can hear you because all of your microphones are on, so you can just speak. I think she hit a lot of the main points. That was really good. So Ashley's summary rocked. Okay. We also had Kaylee. Kaylee, would you like to share your summary with us? Kaylee, yes? Are you there?
Yeah, I was muted, sorry.
Oh, that's
Um,
okay. No worries.
I have mine on a piece of paper, so I'm just gonna read it.
That sounds good. I will try my best to just kind of type what you're saying. Go for it.
Um, Kenny is really excited to hang out with his dad in the mornings. Kenny doesn't like the idea of sending Brian to Birmingham. On their way to Birmingham, they stop in Ohio. Uh, at the Ohio at the Ohio stop, they have to go use strange toilets. The toilets had tons of flies coming out of them. Later on, they got back in the car and started driving again. While they were in the car, Joey started drooling all over Kenny. Kenny's dad was very proud of driving 18 hours in a row. Once they got to Grandma Sam's house, everyone gave her a hug. Kenny thought that Byron and Grandma Sands would have a war or something, but then Kenny thought that Byron had surrendered or something.
Okay. All
That's what
right.
I have for now because I forgot about doing my summary earlier, so
You know what? I think you did a great job. And with Ashley's summary, I definitely think that we hit those main points that we were talking about. They have now arrived in Birmingham. They're hanging out with how do you spell her name? It's Grandma Sands. Is it like that?
yeah.
Okay. So Grandma Sands. Let's just talk a little bit about the relationship. We'll recap that. What's the relationship like with Grandma Sands? Are they all
Um,
getting along? Do they like her?
well, Byron doesn't like her.
Okay.
He thinks that she's evil.
Okay. Okay. All right. So she's probably maybe is she a little harsher on him? Maybe doesn't take some of his bad behavior.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right. Who is not impressed with bad behavior? Good. I'm sorry, guys. I have a little bit of a cough here. Okay, I'm going to take you down to, I have the word wizard job pasted in here from another student, but I'm going to take you down to a couple questions that I wrote that are summarizing type of questions that will, never mind, I didn't put them on here. You know why? It's because Kaylee, you found those great questions. Do you have them pulled up on your screen?
Yeah, 1 second.
Okay, I'm going to make you the presenter and we're going to look at the questions that Kaylee found for us. These are really good.
Okay. Is
Oh,
it on?
there it is. All right, so here we go.
Yeah.
Byron is a bully at school, yet a protector of his brother and sister. So, what are some of the traits of being a bully? What are some of the things that make a person a bully? I guess is another way to say that.
Mm, being mean.
Yeah, they're mean to people. They pick on people, and they oftentimes do it for no apparent reason. A lot of times they pick on people who they think are, Yeah, they make fun of others, as Christian said. They pick on people that they think are easy targets, usually. Okay. Um, and we had tons of examples of Byron being a bully throughout the book. But why do you think he treated his brothers and sisters differently?
Um, because I guess they're more important to him, maybe.
Yeah, they're more important to them. He probably also thought that he didn't want to get in trouble at home. All right. So, do you act differently at home um, than you do at other places?
Not really.
Okay, so Kaylee says not really, and I see a couple people saying yes, they kind of do. Go ahead, Ashley.
I act differently than I do at home, and then I act differently when I'm with my friends. Because when you're at home, like, it's your family, so, I guess,
You're more
you do
comfortable.
different things with your family than you do with your friends. Like, with your family, you might go out to dinner to, a fancy restaurant, but, you don't normally go to a fancy restaurant with your friends. You might go to, a movie or just, hang out at your house, but I don't think you'd go to a fancy restaurant.
That's right. Yeah. Well, and so you do different things with your family. A lot of times you are more relaxed around your family. And it seems
And then
like Byron is kind of the same way.
And you might be more serious around your parents, and you might be more loose and goofy with your friends.
That's right. That's exactly right. And a lot of times in this age group that Byron is in, a lot of times you act differently with your friends because you're trying to fit in and impress people. And we had already talked about this in one of the earlier book club VCs that Byron is doing a lot of this bad behavior to get attention from other people. He thinks that this bad attention is the only way, he's going to I guess, make friends in a sense, make friends with the other bullies. So, okay. I'm going to go ahead and put the screen back on me so that we don't spend too much time on that. Okay. All right, here we go. Back to our schedule. We had Kaylee P as an illustrator. Kaylee, are you ready to show your illustration?
Yeah.
All right. Would you like to hold it up or do you want me to make you a presenter?
Oh, presenter?
Okay. So I will change the screen so that we will see your computer. Okay. So there should be something that says, there we go. All right, Kaylee, go ahead and describe your illustration for us and tell us the important part of being an illustrator is telling us why you chose this part to illustrate.
Um, this is the brown bomber when they're driving to Alabama, and I picked it because it's a big part of the story.
Yeah, it's a really huge part of the story, the entire trip down to Birmingham. Kaylee, name like one important lesson that they learned along the way.
Um, I can't really think.
Well, what's one thing that happened to them along the way that was important?
Um,
Talk a little bit more, and Ashley, you can help her with this because it was part of your summary. Talk a little bit more about that part where they had to stop and the bathrooms were different and they had to use different bathrooms and what that must have been like.
like they had to get used to trying new things and not just expecting everything to be perfect for them.
Yeah, that's right. And did they run across some differences? I mean, Michigan was a very different place than the South in that time period. So the way that they were treated and the things that they came across were different, right? Some of the
Yeah.
experiences that they had along the way. Okay. Good. Can anybody think of an example of an experience that made them feel different? That's a good question. We can maybe come
Driving in
back.
a car for,
Yeah, riding in a car for that long. Did they have to go ahead, Ashley?
Um, well, I kind of have like a connection, I guess.
Okay.
Uh, like last year in June or something like that, in the middle of summer, me and my family we drove to Las Vegas,
Mm-hmm.
and so like me and my little sister, we were in our pajamas like most of the trip because we didn't really want to get dressed every day to sit in the car.
Right.
Um, but every time we like go inside, like we went, there was like this one state that was like really fancy. Like everybody, like all the women were dressed in nice dresses, and then all the men were in like tuxedos and stuff. And then me and my little sister in there in our pajamas. It was really weird.
All right, so that's a good connection, and I'm glad that you did that because it doesn't look like our connector, Jeremy, is here today with us. That's perfect. We are going to skip to discussion directors, and that was Christian. And then we also had Jordan, and Jordan, she's gone on Thursday, so she sent me her questions, but we'll start with Christian. Let's see here. All right, so Christian, are you there with us? Would you like to share some of your, let's see. Okay, Christian, I see you in the chat. Are you ready to share a couple questions that you had for the group?
um, yeah.
Okay, go ahead with your first question. I'll type it.
Why do you think that Joetta is always protecting Byron?
Okay. All right, so why do you guys think, and this is a question for the entire class, that Joetta is always protecting Byron? And remember, there's no right or wrong answer. This is making an inference. What do you think? And anybody can speak up or you can type into the chat.
I think that she doesn't like Brian getting hurt and stuff because she doesn't like it.
Okay. She doesn't like to see him get hurt. All right. Anybody else have any ideas? Why is she always protecting him? Does she feel sorry for him? All right. We can maybe come back to that question. Um, all right. Christian, what was your second question that you had for us?
Why do you think that Kenny went down to the whirlpool instead of the beach?
Okay. All right. Instead of the beach. All right, guys. So what do you guys think? Why would Kenny go to the whirlpool instead of the beach? And you can speak up or type into the chat.
Well, he thought it was like a joke, and he thought the whirlpool, he misunderstood Brian, and he thought it was a whirlpool or whatever.
Okay.
Weird.
So he misunderstood his speech, and so he thought it was kind of a joke, and he had to check it out. And then Kaylee just typed into the chat. He wanted to prove that he was brave. Very good. All right. I like it. I like your questions, Christian. What's your next one for us?
Why do you think it was so important to Kenny's dad that he drive 18 straight hours instead of stopping?
Oh, that's a deep question, actually. Okay, let me get it
So
down.
they would save more money?
Kenny's dad to drive 18 hours straight. And I heard one person say to save money. Were there any other reasons that maybe driving straight through would be a better idea than stopping? What about, I mean, would they necessarily know if they would be safe stopping in different states? And I also had somebody in the chat tell me that, and Jack, it looks like it agrees, they might not be safe everywhere they stopped because,
It would be
things were
it
different
would be a
then.
lot faster if you didn't stop.
Yes, and it would take less time. A couple people said that as well. Um, Ashley, I see that you have a connection. Would you like to share it with us?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Actually, I had two connections.
Okay,
So when I said that about the Las Vegas, it was the same thing. Cause since my mom, she would normally work during the day, and then my stepdad he works nights, so he's pretty used to staying up late, like
right.
really late, like 4 and 5 in the morning. So when we
Hmm.
were driving, my mom most of the time she would drive during the day while my stepdad slept, and then at night my stepdad he would drive while my mom slept. Well, all of us slept.
Well, there you
And
go. So
so
they definitely, at least they were able to trade off. But looks like Kenny's dad decided he was just going to do it all.
and then my second connection, it happened not too long ago actually. I went to Las Vegas for nationals, and so we were driving with my best friend, and well, they were in a different car. They were behind us, and that time we stopped. Like we'd stay at a hotel for a night, and then we'd wake up real early in the morning and then start driving again. And
Right.
that actually cost a lot of money because we had to pay for the hotel, and so
Oh, I see. Yeah, no, it does definitely cost money when you have to stay over and then you have to stop and get food and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, no, those were really great questions and great answers. Okay, we have a few more from the person. She goes to a different school on Thursday, but she shared the questions with us. So let's go ahead and talk about them. If you had a kid and you told them not to do something dangerous, like playing with matches, and you told him twice not to do it, would you have done a different discipline to your kid besides burning his finger? So, in other words, I think what she's asking here is, would you have punished your child differently if you told them twice? And okay, so I'm seeing a couple people say yes. What would be a better punishment? Something that would have been better than burning his fingers. Because it looks like everybody in the chat told me that they did not want their fingers burned. Christian said he would have done the same thing. Oh, okay. So Christian, you're the you kind of disagreed with the group, and you said that yeah, you would go ahead and burn his fingers. Why do you think so, Christian?
So he'd learn his lesson and wouldn't do it again.
Okay, so he thought that that was a good punishment, and it's all an opinion, you guys. I mean, it's not. I don't know. I mean, right now it could actually probably be considered a form of child abuse to burn your kid's finger. Um, and I'm sure there are probably better ways to deal with it, but all right, we'll move on. Do you think Byron should have been taking advantage of the welfare they were having? Hmm. Okay, so I'm seeing a couple of people say no, no. All right. Why not? So tell me why. Okay. I'm getting a couple answers because they had to pay for it.
because
Okay, Christian, how did
because
they
it
have
still
to pay
costs
for it?
money.
Yeah, good. Okay. Christian, explain your answer a little bit more. They had to pay for it still.
Well, it wasn't really a welfare list. They were just their parents were just going to pay for it at the end of the week.
I see. Okay. All right. So he probably shouldn't be taking advantage of that. And what do you guys think about this last question? Why do you think Byron is just so naughty? What makes him act this way? And you
Because he
can
thinks
speak
he's
up,
cool.
okay? He thinks he's cool. His age, something about his age, is kind of playing into the ways he's acting, and he hangs around bad influences. Okay, so people who influence him to make bad choices. That's great. Yeah, and a lot of times when you are his age, you kind of fall victim to peer pressure. So the things that the your friends are doing kind of seem way more cool than they are. And Ashley said that he likes to get attention. Good. All right, you guys did great on those discussion questions. That was a lot. So good work. We will move on to our word wizard, and we had Corbin share his word wizard jobs with us. And I just went ahead and typed them right into our agenda here. So I'll just start with his first word. He chose the word Cincinnati. And he chose this word because it was a new word. And if you have the book, you can find it on page 131. It's a state or a country or a city. And I will just tell you that it is definitely a city. Does anybody know what state Cincinnati is in? It's Cincinnati, Ohio. All right. Yep, very good. Okay, so that was just a new word for him. A strange word, whooshed. Okay, and that was on page 95. Something that went by really fast. Now, this would be really cool. Do any of you have the book and can read the sentence that you found it on page 95?
I do.
Awesome. Go ahead and flip to it and see if you could read that sentence for us.
Finally, the chair whooshed as Mama got off Dad's lap.
All right. Yeah, so it just kind of whooshed by. All right. So it went by really fast. Good. All right. I like these words. And then a funny word, that's definitely funny, weenie nose, page 84. So somebody who's dumb. So it's a put down. So I'll kind of change that to it's a put down. Kaylee, can you go ahead and find it on page 84 and read it for us?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm looking for it now.
That's fine. Yeah, I'm just gonna highlight the words that he found while we're waiting for you. Okay. All right. Have you found it yet?
No.
That's okay. We'll move on. When you do find it, we can come back to that one. Let's move on to the next word, which is Poindexter. Um, this one is an important one. So, Kaylee, why don't you start looking for this one instead on page 82?
I found it.
Okay. You found Poindexter?
No, the weenie nose.
Oh, the weenie nose. All right, we'll go back to that. Go ahead.
No one had nerve enough to tease Brian in the face or call him a weenie nose or something.
Okay, yeah, so it definitely would be a put down. All right, now this is an important word, and it's interesting as well. Turn to page 82, and let's find the sentence that you found Poindexter in, because what we're going to do is use context clues to figure out what that means. And Ashley, go ahead and read it, because it looks like you found it.
Um, don't even think about it, Poindexter. You are two of them yourself, so quite wasted my cookies, and just shut up and enjoy what's left.
Okay, so to me, it seems like another put down. It seems like they called him a name. They called him a Poindexter. Okay.
I think Byron did.
All right. So notice I used context clues. I used the rest of the sentence to figure out the word. I could tell by the language that they were using that it seemed like it was a put down. Okay. Expressway was an important word. Um, this was when they were driving, right? It's a new word, and what do they do on the expressway? Isn't it just kind of like a freeway? Yeah.
I found it.
Okay, go ahead.
We weren't even on the expressway before Mama started reading out of her notebook, telling us everything that was planned for the next 3 days.
Good. Okay, so expressway is just another way of saying the freeway. So think of like I-25. That would be an example for you. Okay, I don't know. I mean, maybe back in the 60s they just called it expressway instead of freeway. All right. A hard word is Knoxville. And Corbin said that he was pretty sure it's a city, and he is correct. Does anybody know what state Knoxville is in? It is actually in Tennessee. Thank you, Christian. He just typed it into the chat. Perfect. All right, so those were really good words. I'm glad that we went through all 6 of those. All right, and we had Jeremy. He's not here today. He was our connector. That's kind of a bummer. So what we'll do instead is we'll just go to the connector job and we can just talk about it and see if anybody has made any connections of their own. You don't have to have it written down, obviously. Ashley has shared several connections, text to self connections, of trips that she's been on that reminded her of this long trip that the Watsons are taking. Anybody else have a connection? No other connections? It could be a connection to your own life. Those are usually the easiest ones to do, the connections to your own life. Connections to things going on in your school or neighborhood. That's a text to world. This one is something that you should always, even if it's not the job that you've been assigned to, this is something that you should always kind of just be thinking about in the back of your mind. What does this remind me of in my own life? What does this remind me of in the world? Um, where have I seen a book like this before? Okay, so those are things that I want you to just kind of think about. Um, and we had one connection, it looks like, just show up in the chat. Corbin took a road trip to California, and I can tell you from personal experience as well. That's a really long road trip. So, Corbin, was your connection? You could just type into the chat that you were on a really long drive, and so you know what it's like to have to sit in the car forever. Yes, that's what it was. Good. All right, guys. I want to make sure that I'm going to go ahead and mute you because I hear some background noise. So I want to make sure that we all are clear on what we're doing with our schedule. And then I'll tell you a little bit more about what's coming up, our really fun project. So today was the 7th, and I'm really proud. Most of you all of you actually who are here today did a really great job on your jobs. On Monday, I will tell you what chapters you're reading. Or I can tell you right now, you're reading chapters 12 and 13, so only 2 chapters. And then here are your jobs for Monday. Ashley, you'll be our illustrator. Kaylee P., discussion director. Jordan, word wizard. Tyler, I'm not sure what's going on with Tyler right now. I have not seen him in quite a while. Ashley, maybe you can send me a private chat if you know anything about your friend Tyler. Jack, you will be our connector. Jeremy will be our summarizer. Keely S., you also get to be an illustrator. That's pretty cool. Christian, word wizard. And then Corbin will be our quotable quoter. Notice that between the 11th and the 25th, that's 2 whole weeks. Okay, so after Monday, next Monday, you have 2 weeks until your next book club. That's because the 18th of February is President's Day. So there it is again, another Monday holiday. That's why I decided to have book club today instead. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense to you. You will, on Monday, get to see a really cool project that I will be modeling for you. So I will show you an example of how I want the project done. And then you're going to have 2 weeks to do that project and then come back with it on the 25th. Because guess what, guys? You are really close to the end of the book. All right. Are there any questions today before I let you go? Your microphones are back on, so you can just speak up or type into the chat. All right. So Corey, oh my goodness, sorry. Well, Jack, if you have any other questions later, you can email me. If not, I will see you all later and just let's all say goodbye to each other. Okay, goodbye.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye. And you could type bye into the chat or just say goodbye. Bye. Good job, everyone.